Yathagnire Darhika Shakti Rama Krishne Sthita Hiya Sarva Vidya Swarupantam Saradam Pranamamiham. I salute Sri Sharada Devi, the embodiment of all knowledge, who exists in Ramakrishna as the burning power exists in the fire. Good morning. Today, the title of our talk is Embracing Divinity through Self-Control. There is a reason why I selected this title. Actually, there is a saying of Sri Sarada Devi. In Bengali, the sentence is Sangjame Manush Devota Hoy. Sanjam means self-control, self-restraint. So, by the act of restraining oneself, a human becomes a god. Truly speaking, a godly person, a saintly person. So, in between, there is the word self-control. It is the self-control that makes the difference between a brute and a human and a god. To bring a beast into discipline, we need external force. But to become a god, we as a human need tremendous internal force. We go to the church, we go to the temple or the mosque for peace. We can make our home as a church, as a temple, as peaceful, as serene as a church or a temple. If we can make ourselves a god, a dynamo that releases peace and serenity in the air, in the environment. Entering our house, meeting with us, people can feel elevated if we can overcome our human limitations. Actually, it is a culture of soul. Not only humans, gods also like such people, want their company. There is a beautiful verse in the Gita where Sri Krishna says, I don't want a lot of pomp or a splendid display. Simple leaves, like generally Hindus use basic leaves, basil, we call it tulasi patra, tulasi leaves, bilva leaves for the worship. So that's why Krishna is saying simple leaf, or maybe a few flowers, or maybe little amount of water we use in Shiva puja, Shiva worship. It's enough. A leaf, a flower, or simple water. Very easy to get all those things. Is enough. But what I want is, it should be given with a spirit of devotion. And the giver should be a prajata atmana. Prajata atmana. What does it mean? So the actual verse, very familiar verse, many of you, I think you may know. Patram pushpam phalang toyam yome bhaktya prayachati tadahang bhaktu upahrita ashnami prajata atmanaha. Means, whoever offers me with devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit or water, I accept that gift of the pure-hearted man which has been devotionally presented. Pure-hearted, or whose senses are restrained, who has his senses under control. These two conditions only. With devotion and prajata atmanaha. The thirst for happiness is a common instinct in all humankind. But everyone does not possess the secret of acquiring it, nor the power to retain it when it comes. This requires both wisdom and endurance. Perhaps for this reason, the great men of all countries for ages have laid such tremendous emphasis on a life of self-discipline and self-control. Actually, it is most practical thing to believe. In any walk of life, you need control. When you drive, you need speed control. When you talk, you need control. In every field, this is true. Even when you stand up, you need control. So there is nothing wrong with control. It is a natural instinct to exercise little control. But some people, there are many opinions about that. Some people say we should not control our impulses, that self-expression is the best. They say that any form of control is unhealthy, unnatural. It makes a person false. One should have expression. Any control creates neurosis. That means you eat whatever you like, do whatever you feel like doing, think whatever you like to think. Control creates inhibition, and inhibition can lead to exhibition. So, good point. But it reminds me an incident. It is an interesting incident. It is from life of Swami Ranganathananda ji, one of our presidents, ex-presidents. In 1968-69, he came in this country, USA, for a cultural lecture tour. He had the occasion to speak about this need for discipline of the energies within the human system. He was speaking over the Portland radio at night 10 o'clock. Interesting, it is his language actually. And for the time, remember, it was 1968-69. The hippie movement was going on. So that was a hot topic that time. A 20-minute radio program, originally fixed, became a 2-hour program because the broadcaster, Mr. Fenwick, I do not know whether he is still alive or not. So, deeply affected by the current hippie movement that time, found the subject very interesting. The Swami, Ranganathananda ji, had referred to the need for disciplining of the energies within the human being. Immediately, the broadcaster shouted into the radio, "We don't want discipline, we want a natural life." The Swami told him, "You are praising Pandit Ravi Shankar's music." Ravi Shankar, I will come to that point afterwards. He was a great sitarist, music player, who have little bit of idea with Indian classical music. He was a big name. He has a big name, and many things. And he did some album, I think, with the George Harrison. So anyhow, we'll come to that point afterwards. So he was talking to the broadcaster. "You are praising Pandit Ravi Shankar's music. How natural, how spontaneous. Did you ever consider the years of discipline Ravi Shankar had to undergo to become such a great musician? Ever thought about that? Don't we, and let us come to our daily life, don't we give a little toilet discipline to our children? We don't give any such toilet discipline to a calf or a goat." Extremely happy to hear these words of the Swami, the broadcaster literally shouted into the radio, listened to this great person, the Swami, and asked him, "Are you tired? Can we continue?" By that, he announced 20 minutes. The announced 20 minutes were over. The Swami agreed to continue, and it continued till midnight. Now, the Swami wrote about the conversation that went afterwards. He told, he and his wife came to hear my public lecture at the Portland Vedanta Society the very next Sunday. He told, Vedanta accepts that a natural, spontaneous life is the best for human beings, but you won't get this without passing through the hell of discipline. Otherwise, it will be animal nature and nothing else. Then he quoted a verse from Bhagavatam, which means, two types of people in the world enjoy happiness and spontaneous living: the utter foolish person and the one who has gone beyond buddhi and realized the true self, the Atman. These two people are pure happy. All people in between are in varying stages of struggle and tension. We first pass through the struggle, we discipline the one of the sensory system through the help of that mind and the intellect. Then we come to a second type of naturalness, that is real naturalness, the naturalness of great person, like sages, like Buddha, like Ramakrishna, like anybody else. That time, the time was different. They have a own philosophy behind the movement. The philosophy was, we like to follow an impulse release philosophy. That was the philosophy behind that movement. They did not want to control any impulse, just release impulses as they come. Such a philosophy will eventually convert human society into an animal farm, the Swami noticed. He told, all impulses are not meant to be released. You have to discriminate which is worth releasing and which is not. When you become truly spiritually strong, then you can release all impulses because they will always be pure from the depth of the human being, not from the lower sensory level. So that is important, where from your impulses are coming out. We just mentioned about Ravi Shankar. It would be interesting to know something about his discipline when he was a student of music. So the name of his guru was Ustad Alauddin Khan, a saintly person. You can find some kind of old documentary on him, a saintly person. And he met with Swami Brahmananda, possibly in Dhaka. These people like Ravi Shankar or Ustad Alauddin Khan, they didn't become great overnight. They built themselves gradually through strict discipline. I found in a newspaper, in internet, so what Ravi Shankar wrote about Ustad Alauddin Khan, 5-6 lines. So he wrote during Alauddin Khan's, when he was a student of music under his guru. He, that is Alauddin Khan, imposed upon himself an even stricter code of conduct when he was a young man, often practicing 16 to 20 hours a day, doing with very little sleep and getting along with a minimum of material things. Sometimes, when he practiced, he tied up his long hair with a heavy cord and attached an end of the cord to a ring in the ceiling. Then, if he happened to doze while he practiced, as soon as his head nodded, a jerk on the cord would pull his hair and awaken him. Besides being famous for his performance and innovations in music, Baba, that we generally do not mention our guru's name in Indian tradition, so he used to call Baba when he used to mention Alauddin Khan. So Baba means father. Baba was also very well known throughout the musical world for his temper. I was rather apprehensive about meeting him for the first time in person. But I still remember how surprised I was when I found him to be so gentle and unassuming. Endowed with the virtue of humility, it is only when he is wrapped up utterly in his music that he becomes a stern taskmaster. For he cannot tolerate any impurities or defects in the sacred art of music. And he was no sympathy or patience with those who can, who have the ability, but not doing, not trying. So he was more stern. His own life has been one of rigorously self-imposed discipline, and he expects no less from his students. Even Baba's views on celibacy and especially on intoxication through drink or some drugs are extremely rigid and severe. Students follow brahmacharya for the disciple, a traditional Hindu way of life that includes only the absolute essentials of material needs. He wanted that so that the student can channel all of his powers and forces, both mental and physical, into the discipline of his music. Music, to Baba, is a strict, lifelong discipline that requires long and careful training. And if a student is not prepared to regard music in this way, he had better not take it up at all. So it was then, actually a few days back, I think day before yesterday, I was reading from the life of Ravi Shankar, that this book was published in 1968. So, but then Ravi Shankar is writing about his discipline, how he practiced on 14 hours to 16 hours a day. And there are many stories. I think in different occasions we can discuss on that. So one day it happened, he scolded him. Ravi Shankar was a very one of the I think favorite disciples of Alauddin Khan. So, and when Ravi Shankar's mother offered his son to Alauddin, please take care of him as your son. But it does not mean he was soft to him. He was a taskmaster. So once something happened, he scolded him vehemently. And Ravi Shankar never had that kind of experience from his teacher. He always thought, I am favorite, so I have a soft corner in his heart. So left his guru's home, and with that bag and baggage's bed, he rolled up and went to the railway station. So it was a Maihar, I think in Uttar Pradesh, maybe UP. It's a village area. It was that time. I am talking about 1930s, 1940s that time. So when he was waiting at the railway station and waiting for train, he found one of his Guru Bhai's son, and Guru Bhai's means brother disciple, and he was the real son of Alauddin Khan. Ustad later also he was also great star, Ali Akbar Khan. So he is running, a young boy, running towards him. What happened? So actually Baba sent him, and his wife also, she was like a mother to these disciples. Typical Indian tradition, if we call Guru Griha Basa, we have to live with the Guru, and you consider the wife of the Guru as your own mother. And they are so genuine. And they used to treat the disciples as their own child. So it was lunchtime. So where Ravi gone? So that's why so they search everywhere, and suddenly they thought that he might have gone to the railway station. So now Ali Akbar Khan was running to catch him. So during the discussion, Ali Akbar told Ravi Shankar, so Ali Akbar told me that he had been compelled to practice for 14 to 16 hours every day. And there were times when Baba tied him to a tree for hours and refused to let him eat if his progress was not satisfactory. So, uh, so then he is writing, Ali Akbar was born with music in his veins, but it was this constant rigorous discipline and riyaj, that means practice, mm, that Baba set for him that has made Ali Akbar one of the greatest instrumentalists alive. It was written in 1961. Now he passed away, Ali Akbar Khan. So he wrote that way. After I would, and he was talking of other students also. After I had been in my heart for some time, another student came and stayed with me. But Baba beat him on the second or third day and he ran away. At least 30 different boys came to share the little house with me. But none of them ever stayed longer than a week or 10 days because they could not bear Baba's temper and strict discipline. And in that book, Ravi Shankar gave a photograph also. That I cannot read, that photograph. So in that photograph, one can see that Alauddin Khan with a cane. So a program was actually going on. A open program, public program was going on in honor of Alauddin Khan. His disciples were playing all those instruments. So in that public program, he is instructing that with cane, what are you doing? It is not right. It is wrong. So anyhow, so we can well understand that to get something, there is a nice saying also, a quotation. We must all suffer from one of two pains, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. The difference is discipline weighs ounces while regret weighs tons. It is on us which one we want to choose. So here is the importance of buddhi, intellect. It is intellect, buddhi, it always guide you. Katha Upanishad gave an analogy of a chariot. Again, a famous analogy. It says in 4 verses, Yastva avijnanamana bhavati ayuktena manasa sada tasyendriyani avashyani dushtasva iva sarathe. So ashwa means horse. And in a chariot, just imagine, there is a charioteer, in his hand a rein, and some horses are there. So the analogy says, he who is devoid of right understanding and with mind always undisciplined, his senses become uncontrolled like the bad horses of a charioteer. Dushta ashwa. Dushta means bad and ashya means horse. In next verse, but he who is possessed with right understanding and with mind always disciplined, his senses become controlled like the good, that is controlled horses of a charioteer. And he who is devoid of right understanding, with mind not held and always impure, never attains that goal, but gets into the round of worldliness. Here manas is, they compare mind with rain. You need a rein in strong hand. It should not be a weak thread. But he who is possessed of right understanding with manas, that is mind, held and ever pure, reaches that goal whence there is no birth. That is, you need not to come again. That is, you return to this worldliness again. The horses provide the motive power of the journey, but they cannot be allowed to set the pace for the journey, lest it should turn out to be their journey, with the charioteer and the master of the chariot becoming just helpless victim. The rein are meant to prevent this. The more energetic the horses, the tougher the reins should be. But the reins can control the horses only when they are in the firm hands of a charioteer. here is you can, I think, understand, it should be your journey, not the journey of the horses. When the senses dominates the journey, life remains at the gross worldly stage. At the near animal level, the spirit is sold in the marketplace of the flesh. Life's achievements are then measured in terms of mere titillations of the nerves and survival of the body only. When the manas, that mind, three levels are there. So when the manas, that is mind level, which is naturally volatile, dominates the journey, life experiences erratic movements and intense fluctuations between luminous inspirations and low depressions, between high moral and aesthetic levitations and low selfish and worldly gravitations. But when the buddhi dominates the journey, life rises to the steady ethical and spiritual levels, tastes true freedom and delight, and achieves fulfillment in universality through spiritual illumination. In next verse, Yama concludes about the analogy. He says, Vijnana sarathir yastu manaha pragrahavan naraha so advana paramapnoti tad vishnu paramang padam. The paramapadam, the ultimate goal. He who has the vijnana, that is buddhi, reasoning, a strong reason, for his charioteer and a disciplined mind as the reins, he verily attains the end of the journey, that supreme state of Vishnu. That is the goal. And we have seen in our practical life, I remember many players, I cannot mention the name because they are still alive. So in our sports world, our literary world, our society has seen so many geniuses who had the potential to make an outstanding contribution to society. But due to uncontrolled lifestyle, many dropped prematurely. We have seen many of the players. So, because they never thought seriously about their life. So there's a caustic wit by Bernard Shaw, George Bernard Shaw. He said, thinking is rare. The average individual perhaps thinks once or twice a year. Just think about that. I have made a distinguished career by thinking as often as once a week. So here's the importance of thinking. Self-control, but we should remember that self-control does not mean suppression. Self-control means to behave in moderation, to regulate our life, to reach our goal. Most of us live in this world unconsciously, doing everything automatically through habit. We utilize our energies without thinking what they are or what they should bring us. Still less does it occur to us that it is our duty to conserve and direct them to definite ends. Yet we shall not know what true health or happiness or illumination is until we have learned how to gather up these vital forces of our organism and command them at our will. Just as light, like this light maybe, so when dissipated scarcely suffices to read by, but when we put a shade over it and concentrate its rays, we are able to see the finest print. Similarly, all the forces manifested through our body, mind, and senses are stored up, regulated, and focused. We discover possibilities of wisdom and happiness within us, of which we are wholly unconscious at present. We discovered treasure in us, within us. But how is this to be accomplished? That is the question. Some may think hastily that by not doing anything, we may store up our energies. It has been found, however, that the energy of a man who does nothing instead of increasing fades away. When you use that, it increases, we have seen. But on the other hand, if you imagine that by constant use our faculties we can gain greater power, that is also a mistake. For we know that through overwork a man often breaks down. Neither of these methods, therefore, can help us to conserve and increase our energy. But there is a way by which it can be done, not by overworking, nor by stopping work, but by finding balance in all our activity. When this balance is manifested in the physical body, the result is good health. When it is manifested, this balance, manifested on the mental plane, we have intellectual power. When it is manifested on the spiritual plane, the result is super consciousness or spiritual illumination. But the energy is one, we should remember that one. In our life force is just one. We have to give the direction only. It manifests itself on every plane, but as we are able to draw it up from our lower organism, we gain ever increasing power for higher things. We can think better, we can live better. As thought guides all our bodily activities, so the sages found that thought was the best medium for directing this life force. In Gita, we found the discussion about this balance. There's a beautiful verse there where Sri Krishna says in 6th chapter, Yuktahara viharasya yukta cheshtasya karmasu yukta sapnavabodhasya yogo bhavati dukkha. Every word is important. Everyone we practice yoga. Though we have a different idea about yoga, some of us think that only physical exercise is yoga. So it is different issue. But I am talking about the real yoga in philosophical context. In real yoga, it will become dukkha. It will remove all of your sorrow. What you have to do? Your practice in yoga will be fulfilled. So, to one who is temperate in eating and recreation, in the effort for work and in sleep and wakefulness, yoga becomes the destroyer of misery. So this is the conditions you need with that. So yuktahara viharasya means nirahar, it came from ahara. Ahara means eating. Moderate in food, and vihara, recreation. Yukta cheshtasya karmasu, moderate in engagement of work. Always being engaged in work is not good, and laziness also is not good. And yukta swapna avabodhasya, moderate in sleep and in waking. To such a person, yoga becomes the remover of all sorrow. So this is the wisest advice given to a practitioner of spiritual life. People have done all sorts of spiritual practices, even now people do, without knowing the truth expounded by great teachers like Buddha. In Buddha, he discovered Madhya Pantha, the balanced way, nothing, avoiding both the extreme sides. In his life, it is a long story. And Krishna now, even Patanjali in his Yoga Sutras, Yoga philosophy, they have their own. There is a beautiful song, you may remember, I think in our last talk maybe, or before that, we have discussed about a life story written by Girish Chandra Ghosh on Buddha. So in that, it is actually a drama written by Girish Chandra Ghosh. So he used a song. So let me read the translation. In Bengali it is maybe আমার এই সাধের বিনে যত্নে গাথা তারের হার. You can, why I'm saying, you can search it in gospel, you can find it gospel. But in English gospel, you can find this translation. So message is very beautiful. So behold my bina. Bina means one string instrument. So that bina, you can play that. So behold my bina, my dearly beloved, my lute of sweetest tone. If tenderly you play on it, the strings will waken. At your touch, to rarest melodies, tune it neither low nor high, and from it in 100 streams the sweetest sound will flow. But overslacked the strings are mute, and overstressed they snap in twin. So you have to know how to fix it, how to tune your bina. Bina means your life, the balance. So Ravi Shankar actually, so it the sitar, same kind of thing. So he wrote in that particular book I was reading. So he is giving his own experience when a great master play his favorite instrument, how he feels. Now but it was written in 1968. I always think that if you would write this one in his later life, it will be more, I think, rich. So when I, that is Ravi Shankar, myself start to perform a raga, a musical mode. So a raga, the thing I do is shut out the world around me and try to go down deep within myself. This starts even when I am concentrating on the careful tuning of the sitar and its sympathetic strings. For him, it is not a matter. It is something, it has life. So with care. When with control and concentration I have cut myself off from the outside world, I step onto the threshold of the raga, that particular tune, with feelings of humility, reverence, and awe. To me, a raga is like a living person, and to establish that intimate oneness between music and musician, and one must proceed slowly. And when that oneness is achieved between you and you, music, and the instrument, it is the most and ecstatic moment, like the supreme heights of the act of love or worship. In these miraculous moments, when I am so much aware of the great powers surging within me and all around me, sympathetic and sensitive listeners are feeling the same vibrations. When it can connect me and my audience. It is a strange mixture of all the intense emotions, pathos, joy, peace, spirituality, eroticism, and all flowing together. It is like feeling God while playing the sitar. So in this context, I remember, sometimes I think I shared with you that one. I remember another story from a painter. When he used to stand before the canvas with color and the brush in hand. Sometimes he used to ask the drawing, whatever he already had drawn on that canvas, which color do you want? So do you want more red or little lighter shade of the red? Do you want blue or like that, a conversation. So sometimes we think that the different emotions that works in our lives, they are like different colors on the canvas of life. The emotion we feel, different kind of emotion. So it is like a color of life. So he is the master of the craft who knows the right use of his color. You have to know how to use that. This sense of proportion in behavior we can see beautifully in a small incident of Swami Sharadanandaji. That you may know he was one of the direct disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, and how to say, with Holy Mother his relation. So he was the backbone of the management of the ever busy Udbodhan office, the publication house, Bengali publication house of Ramakrishna order. So one day he noticed some dirty footprints on the floor of the careless cook. He asked, whose footprint that? So somebody told, it is that cook. The floor was just freshly cleaned, wiped. And the cook from outside, he went into the house, and you can see on the clean, fresh floor, some footsteps there. So what naturally, so being annoyed, he called him. Who is that? Call him. But when the cook appeared before the Swami, he didn't say anything to him. So that great man had already withdrawn his annoyance in himself. You can go now. Nothing to say. So it's a color of annoyance, or maybe anger. So, and maybe we can see another canvas. So it is in Vrindavan. Mother Jashoda is trying to discipline that playful Krishna. So it was very difficult to lock him inside the house. He's again and coming out and doing all the mischiefs. So now Mother Jashoda is quite angry, quite annoyed. So he tied little Krishna with the tree. Another canvas, this one. Here, the same color, annoyance or maybe anger, showering beauty somewhere in application, in Vrindavan, and withdrawing in restraint. And it looks beautiful in restraint in Udbodhan house. Sharadananda told nothing to the cook. So he withdrawn that color of annoyance or anger. So that looks beautiful. Yeah, something extraordinary. But here in Vrindavan, when expression of anger or annoyance become beautiful. So how to use it? In different occasion, different time or space, it depends upon you. So you have to use that. You can apply that or you can restrain that. So there is a nice saying, between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. We have to decide how to react. You have some time. So how you use that, on that depends your life or your growth or your understanding. So there is a beautiful verse in Sanskrit. It says, Pragyasya murkhasya cha karya yoge samatvam abhyeti tanu na buddhi. It means, if a wise person and a fool are working, when they look at them, when we look at them at work, we do look the same. Both look same. In tanu means body. They are same, look same. They have 2 ears, one nose, everything is same. But in their minds, they are different. Sri Ramakrishna used to give an example. It's about cake. In India, we call pithe, cake. Inside different kind of stuff, that cake. So he says, all men look alike, to be sure, but they have different natures. Some have an excess of sattva, others an excess of rajas, and still others an excess of tamas. You must have noticed that the cakes known as puli, we call puli pithe, same thing, all look alike from outside, but their contents inside are very different. Some contain condensed milk, some coconut kernel, and others merely boiled kolai pulse. So it was Sri Ramakrishna's example. So I was from Bhagavata, 11th canto, 11th skandha we called in Sanskrit canto, 19th chapter. I found that kind of some interesting thing. So when you become little bit a master of your life, when you have sattva more in your character, you understand your life in a deeper way. So here I saw some interesting conversation between Uddhava and Krishna. So Uddhava asked some questions. What is this? What is this? What is this? A long discussion. So mainly it was on yama and niyama. Yama means the discipline. Yama means disciplines. So Sri Krishna told him 24 disciplines. So I cannot discuss all the 24 things, but when you grow, you develop your understanding of your about the life. So some kind of surface understanding and deeper understanding. So now let us come to this point. So about that question, among those questions, from where to start, I am thinking. So let us start from sattva. And we are talking about the devata, the gods, and human being. And we just mentioned about sattva, rajas, and tamas. So let us start from that point. So here he says about actual heaven and actual hell. So in actual heaven, that the God they live in the heaven, and the hell, not at least the God live. So actual heaven is the predominance of the mode of goodness. So we think about some in different plane like that. But Krishna's answer is very simple. Actual heaven is the predominance of the mode of goodness. When there is more sattva in you, you are in the heaven, you are God. Whereas hell is the predominance of ignorance. So where if inside you there is a lot of tamas, so you are in the hell. You need not to go somewhere. So, and he's saying, and Sanskrit is very, very nice. So, and okay, so who is a miser people? He says, yo ajitendriya sa kripana na dina. Who does not have any control over his senses, he is a miser people. Not a poor in real sense. He is giving some real sense. Again, who is real poor? Asantushtaya sa daridra na nirdhana. Who has no content in his mind. So he is the daridra, he is the poor. Not a person who does not have any money. So, okay, what is the happiness and what is the sorrow? Saying that who does not think about sorrow, sukha and dukkha, that pleasure or pain, he is the real sukhi, he is the real happy. Who does not think about pleasure or pain, he is the real sukhi, he is the real pleasure person. What is truthful? Truthfulness means to speak the truth in a pleasing way as declared by great sages. What is cleanliness? Cleanliness is detachment in fruitive actions, whereas renunciation is the sannyasa order of life. So, and we are talking, there is a beautiful song, Mono Cholo Nijo Niketane. It says that this life, this is the song, two songs Swami Vivekananda sang when he first met Sri Ramakrishna. So, about the song, the meaning of the song is, the message of the song is, this life is like a foreign country. When you return home after the trip, keep Shama and Dama with you as guards. So you are living in here, the life you are leading, it is like you are in a foreign land. Your actual home is somewhere different from this place. So when after finishing the trip in a foreign land, when you are returning, you want to return to your home, you need two guards. Because the path is unknown and it is thorny, the road is thorny. So you need some advices. To take two friends with you, take two guards with you. One is Shama, another is Dama. So what is Shama? They call in general way, Shama means that control over your mind, the inner control. And Dama means the outer control on the senses. So take this one. So what will happen? So here he gives that answer. So Shama means Buddhe man nisthata shamaha and indriya samyama damaha. Shama man nisthata buddhir natu shanti matram dama indriya samyama na chauradi damanam. So Sridhar Swami gave explanation on that sloka of Bhagavata. He says, you see, so it is what does it mean by controlling your mind? So answer is man nisthata buddhe. Man nisthata means Sri Krishna giving the answer. So when your mind is established in me, then it is called Shama. So when you love some higher ideal or anything, automatically the control will come in your life. You think about a little girl. When after the marriage, she became a mother. So she had her own routine before the marriage, but when she became a mother, automatically her lifestyle will change. Automatically she starts thinking about his child. So automatically maybe she used to spend a lot of time seeing the videos, reels and many things, going the parties. But after that, her love compelled her or maybe suggest her to leave all those habits and think about the child. So same like that, when you have some kind of love about higher ideal, maybe God or anything else, so automatically you will find some kind of distaste on like sense objects. Automatically it will come. So that's why he's saying man nisthata. When your mind will established in me, in my thought, it will. I want to say that is the real Shama. Not is the negative side. The two types of definition you can give. So controlling a sense is some kind of negative sense is there. You have to control over the uncontrolled mind. But just try to increase love in God. It will automatically happen. And Dhamma, he says, it is, I think, Sridhara has he told that it is not Chauradi Damanam. You have to subdue the thieves. It is not like that. You are controlling, being a police, just like a police sometimes they control the robbery, try to robbery, the theft and all those things. Not that kind of, I'm not saying. You have to control your senses, not the thieves. It is a real Dhamana. So now it continues like that. I talk about that Bani, about the truth. It says, Annacha sunrita Bani. Whenever you speak, speak sweetly. And because it is not whatever you have seen, you are just repeating that. It is not the satya, the truthfulness. Because in somebody, you may find some fault. When you are depicting that faults, I have seen these faults in that person. So it is not called satya, not truthfulness. It calls ninda, to criticize other. So there is a difference between truthfulness and criticism. So truthfulness means you have to take the positive thing and you have to present nicely. Yes, God. So Devata, when you have this kind of, when you understand that kind of things, the deeper meaning of the facts, when you have sattva in your life. So, and in Sanskrit, Devata, that word comes from deep, what is shining. Devata means that radiant, the shining one. It is called Devata. In the history, we say, after many, many years, these historical characters become fade. We do not, in Alexander's time, in Napoleon's time, they are important. They were shining. But after 200 years, 300 years, their character nobody thinks about. Maybe in their the syllabus in the school. But this godlike person, whenever you read about Uddhava, about Buddha, about Krishna, or anybody else, so they shines in the dark chest of the history. So they are like devatas. When you become the master of your life, when you learn to handle your emotions properly, you will learn to handle even serious situations in your life. When we can do this, we will no longer be a mere human. We will transcend our human limitations, and thus we can become a god. In that context, I can just say about one incident about Master Mahasaya, Srima. They behave differently. Human react differently. The gods, they react differently. So we have seen one incident from Sharadanandaji, and in Master Mahasaya life, one day Atmanandaji, Swami, one of the Swamiji's disciples, he once went to visit M at his home. So he wrote, M received, he wrote. So the incident is that M received him in his parlor and sent his attendant to buy some sweets. He then served the Swami refreshments and they began to talk. The Swami observed several people entering the house barefoot with towels on their shoulders. So, as a householder, his duty, because M is to respect the monks. It is one of his habit. He used to talk about this Belur Math monks, go to the Belur Math, and it is the best time to see a monk when he is sitting in meditation. This is the best time to see a monk. That was his idea. So, though he was quite, he was one of the senior devotees who saw of, or maybe direct disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, and these young monks were quite junior to him, the disciple of Swami Vivekananda. But he had that nice habit to, if some monk used to visit their house, he used to make him sit, and he used to send some, because he was quite old by then, he used to send his attendant, go to the shop, market, and buy some sweets. I want to feed him. So that day also same thing happened. Swami Atmananda went to meet him, and he received in his parlor. And he said, Swami, please sit. And they started talking, and Then Atmanandaji saw that several people entering the house barefoot, with no shoes. It is a strange thing in India. In generally, we leave our shoes outside, and with towels on their shoulders. So towels mean it is gamcha. In Bengali, you call gamcha. It is not exact this thick towel. He could also hear some people crying upstairs. Curious, Atmananda asked, Master Mahasaya, what is the matter? What happened? People are coming like this. What happened? So M calmly replied, it is nothing. Please have your refreshment. M never allowed any monk to leave his house without having some refreshments. When the Swami finished eating, M said, a girl of this house has passed away. So those people have come to take the body to the cremation ground. So it was her daughter, his daughter. So if you go Indian house, you'll find the many neighbors will come to help you in that awkward, this serious situation. So amazed, Atmananda said to him, Sir, blessed you are, victory to the master. So it's an abnormal thing. This is called how God, they react. So M used to talk high about Holy Mother. So offering our salutation to Holy Mother, because from her saying, we have started today's discussion. We tried to find out, we tried to understand the messages, that message that Holy Mother wanted to give us. Sanjame manush devata hai. It is self-control that makes a human being a god. So let us, we pray Holy Mother so that she give us that understanding. Jananim Saradang Deving Rama Krishnang Jagadgurung Pada Padme Tayo Shritva Pranamami Muhurmuhu. Taking shelter at the lotus feet of the Mother Sarada Devi and Ramakrishna, the teacher of the world, I salute them again and again.